In this video I want to talk about sexual misconduct. This is one of the worst aspects that we have to learn how to deal with as humans. And it's really shocking how much sexual misconduct I hear about from so many people, whether it's family members that abuse them sexually, there's incest issues, there's aunts and uncles who sexually molest their nieces and nephews, or forcing children into doing sexual acts. And then you can get into all the other kinds of really horrible things like child pornography, etc. There are lots of ways to be a sex offender, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and there are lots of ways to be a victim sexually. It's even happened to me, you know. I've been molested, and this was back when I was in male form, when I was 18, but there is no one who's immune to being around a sexual predator, and so often those that are abused become sexual predators themselves because that is what they're taught, especially as children. And it's really so sad. And it can just be basic sexual misconduct, like cheating on your spouse or your partner, and when you assuming you have a monogamous relationship, it can be easy to happen because we're all just people, you know, we're all just imperfect humans, and we have these emotions that come up, and hormones are powerful drivers. But we have to have respect for each and every other person, whether it's somebody's wife that you're sleeping with. You know, I've had relationships with married pansexual men, but they were always in open relationships where I could meet the wife and we could, you know, have tea or whatever, say hi, and it wasn't a big deal. Sometimes the wife had a boyfriend on the side, or a girlfriend for that matter, and as long as you are not being dishonest with how you're doing it, that could be okay. When it comes to children, on the other hand, of course, they're really not old enough to know what's right and wrong in a lot of these cases. They're not old enough to say no. They don't have that ability to know. If someone they trust, like an adult, comes along and has them do these things, they feel powerless to do anything about it, most of them. It's really tragic. And I guess what I'm really trying to encourage people to do is to make sure they're being wholly honest with any existing partnerships they have before they enter into any sexual conduct. And it's also very critical that if you were abused as a child, you need to work on that. You need to go to therapy, you need to talk about it, you need to journal about it, you need to be able to get it out in the open so that you can heal. It's really important to always be honest about how your actions sexually are going to be received. You can't just do things to people. You have to negotiate them first. Being a sexual predator that's convicted by our legal system is a terrible way to live your life and can cause a lot of problems. Just for you in your life, even, not to mention the victim or whoever is the target. So I would advise you to work on being ethical in all your sexual machinations. If you are interested in having a sexual relationship with anyone, no matter their age, Well, make sure it's a consenting adult first. We don't want to break any laws. But also, make sure they are being truly cared for. Make sure you're not pressuring them into it. Make sure you're not pushing an issue that is not completely openly received. And that can be difficult for some people. Some people have very forceful personalities and other people do not. And that's especially the case when trust is betrayed, when children are involved. Children are not able to control the situation. They look to adults with respect most of the time, and they are powerless to resist adults. So we must protect all of those that need protecting, and even if you're not sure they need protecting, you need to negotiate it with them anyway. You need to make sure they're calm and relaxed and comfortable before you initiate a sexual relationship with them. Otherwise, it's incredibly traumatic for the target. Like back in the old days, it used to be okay to have sexual relationships at work. And now we're a little more enlightened, and we realize that that is not okay, because if things go south, then there's usually an uneven power dynamic in the workplace, and if you have to put up with that kind of harassment in the workplace, that is a horrible way to have to live your life, because you have to pay your bills, and then you're stuck in this situation with someone who's trying to manipulate you in a sexual way. So I hope you become a little bit more involved. Certainly, sexual misconduct, when it comes to having a monogamous person with a non-monogamous person, is difficult to avoid, and I really advocate for having deep discussions about that before you even start a long-term or significant relationship with somebody. In the case of my parents, one of them was non-monogamous and one of them was monogamous. That caused a lot of problems and eventually led to divorce. And in my own marriage, I was fundamentally non-monogamous, and my partner was definitely monogamous. So having that split is really not something that's ever going to work out. If you have that split, your relationship is doomed to fail before it even really begins. So I hope all of your relationships are doomed to success. I hope all of your relationships are highly ethical and legal. And I hope you love all beings, including yourself. May you be truly enlightened. May you be truly at peace. May you treat all others with kindness and peace. Thank you. I'm Valentine, and I'll see you in the next video.